I am an outsider. I live in a West Bank settlement, yet I have an inclination towards kind of left-wing political opinions. I belong to an Orthodox community, and I'm a member of 2 synagogues. I've even received ordination from the chief rabbinate, but I have a basically secular outlook on life. I have been living in Israel now for a quarter of a century, longer than the time I've spent in America, but I don't feel particularly Israeli or particularly American. How did I develop this outsider mentality? I think it all began, my first formative experience was in Old Bridge, New Jersey, the heart of suburbia, one of these places populated by the sons and daughters of immigrants who came to the United States from Europe. And they left the urban centers of New York, places like the Bronx and the Lower East Side in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they came to more countrified areas like Old Bridge, New Jersey. And these were like nuclear families, a mother, a father, two children, and a dog. And me and my mom, we didn't really fit in too well. My father passed away when I was quite young, and my friends, my peers were very different. Their family situation was very different from mine. So that was my first kind of experience, my first stage of developing this outsider mentality. Later on, we moved to San Diego, California. My mother enrolled me in La Jolla High School. It was a better school, but it was outside the jurisdiction of where we were living, so she had to find an excuse to get me in, and the excuse was that I'd begun Latin studies in the previous high school, so that was the excuse we got into La Jolla High School. But I wasn't really from La Jolla, and so once again, this feeling of outsider mentality set in. It was about this time that I started developing kind of a consciousness about racial identity, ethnic identity, and I started breakdancing with blacks, Hispanics, and other whites, and we would appear on Fridays and Saturday nights in La Jolla on the streets and for money. I was working in an old age home, a Presbyterian old age home called White Sands, and the staff was like a multiracial staff, and kind of one of the weird things that we used to do with White Sands, we would throw racial slurs at one another. Like the whites and the Hispanics would use the N-word with the blacks, and the blacks and the Hispanics would call whites wops and Jew boy, and the Mexicans we would call wetbacks. And this type of thing we did, I think, in a way, it was an attempt to overcome all sorts of barriers, ethnic and racial barriers that we felt between us. It was kind of reverse PC in a sense. Instead of banning these terms, we would use them over and over again until the negative impact was neutralized. But it was kind of tedious, and it was kind of counterproductive for me. I mean, it seemed to just emphasize the ethnic differences and the barriers that were between us, and it also started making me think, what does it mean to be a Jew boy? So I enrolled in an introductory course in Judaism in university, and I was introduced to a Rabbi Shaya Eichenblatt from Chabad, and eventually I wound up in Israel. I immigrated to Israel, made Aliyah. Now, I think this whole process that I went through of embracing Orthodoxy and coming to Israel, immigrating to Israel, it was kind of an attempt to overcome my outsider mentality. Like in Adlerian psychology, you might know something about it, like people try to overcome their feeling of inequity by feeling connectedness, to try and search out connectedness in society and so forth. And that might have been one of the things that I was doing. At any rate, I actually leveraged this. I didn't really overcome. I don't think that I ended up overcoming my outsider mentality, but I did leverage it into a career for myself as a journalist. I think it's very advantageous to have this outsider type of perspective as a journalist. So if any of you also can identify with me as outsiders in any way, then don't feel bad. Look at me. I managed to make a profession out of it. Thank you.